Welcome to District 32, immersion, inspiration for ambitious business owners with big dreams.
Hello, my name is Lorraine Garvey of District 32, and I'm absolutely stoked to be interviewing the legend, Peter Butler of Smarter Websites. How are you, Peter?
I am well. Great to be on the call with you, Lorraine. Thank you.
It is, and I see you brought Buddy along with you.
Yeah, Buddy's always sitting there overseeing all that goes on.
Beautiful. Love it. Glad you could both make it.
Thank you.
So today we're going to deep dive into relationships and how one relationship can open a door and transform your life or your business in some way that you just couldn't possibly know. But before we get into that, Peter, why are your websites smarter?
Right. Look, it's very easy to create a graphically gorgeous website. It's as simple as, however, will it convert the visitors to known prospects so you can run them through your pipeline or your funnel and convert them into a client? We've got to distinguish our A-grade clients. So that's what we do. We look at the customer journey, that user experience. So that's what sets us apart, turning websites from just, our websites are graphically gorgeous, however, they help grow your business, make your money, and qualify your clients.
Wow, now that does sound like a smart website, Peter. Awesome, thank you. And I love that makes sense for me. That gets straight to the outcome. I love it, love the tagline. Thank you for that. So Peter, tell me then, relationships. Obviously District 32 is about relationships, it's about connections, and it's about opportunities, and it takes time. And now and again, in fact, not just now and again, but very regularly, you hear about, like somebody said to me yesterday, I was at an event yesterday, and he went, thank you. You've just introduced me to the person that's the key to all the people that I need to meet. And I was like, wow, all right then. But I want to hear your stories, Peter. So you've been around for a wee while in business.
I have.
You've got a big network. That's why I called you the legend that is Peter Butler. Your reputation precedes you. You've been around for a long time in Perth and WA. You've got a lot of relationships, and I would just love to hear what your one or two stories are around relationships and how they've changed your business. So over to you, Peter.
Yeah, look, when you did a shout out, there was two incidents that really came to mind. And one was a local business owner. We're at a networking sundowner event. And I've got to say, I'm actually not I have to push myself to network. I would rather sit behind my computers and stay safe and play at home. However, I know that's how I'm going to build my business. And I also know that it's the relationships that are going to build a business. So anyway, I'm at this sundowner event. A person who I knew just did not well. We were talking about websites. She asked me a question about a particular issue she was having. And I gave her a fairly short response, as in, added value to the conversation. And then I just had a check and I thought, you know what? I should really take that to a higher level. And I added more value to the conversation, gave her some hints and tips on how to resolve that problem. She got back to me a couple of days later and said, and she was quite technical, she could quite likely have been able to apply those fixes herself. And she got hold of me, and she a couple of days later, and she said, look, I'd actually prefer if you come in and help me with these solutions and other things ongoing. Short story version, fast track over the next 2 years. She invested around $15,000 with us. So from me fostering the relationship, trying to add value and actually help solve a problem, nurture the relationship, that was, a good return on investment. It was just gold. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense, Peter. I'm going to try and deconstruct that a little bit, because a lot of people out there who are not used to networking or building relationships, think it's all this big world and I don't have time. And Peter, there's a lot of us who are introverts who'd much rather stay behind our computer. But look, if we bring that right down to the fact that, first of all, you've built rapport with someone, you're having a conversation, you're sharing your expertise, but somebody could have a less seasoned networker might I say, might have withheld some of that expertise or that technical know-how or knowledge trying to get a sale from that. And the fact that you didn't do that and you were just very giving, and then also corrected yourself to say, well, actually, I can go much more there, and picked up on the cues. You just gave as much value as you possibly could to that person in that one interaction.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's where I find checks. You know, we've to add value, to nurture those relationships, and it shows our expertise. You know, it does. And you don't want to be giving that away all the time, or we won't have businesses. Yeah. But the point is that we do operate at a much higher level than what we can explain. So, you know, and that was it was a good learning curve for me.
So what did you take from that then, Peter? What changed in your behaviors, or what was the biggest change after that?
Well, there's so much, right? It's a big subject. To follow up with people, to add people into your database. By this, I have added that contact into my database. So I was able to foster the relationship, because they didn't spend that 15 grand in one go. They spent an initial sum of money, and then I'm popping out, regular content, advising people how to resolve issues. We're the resident experts. We can do it at a much higher level, but we're helping, but we're also showing our expertise at the same time. And I'm building my database.
Beautiful. And that's another thing that some business owners can often forget. I think it's such a shame people go for decades without marketing to, or nurturing or sharing their expertise with the database and all that. It's all, even worse, they're not in the database. It's just a real shame. It is a real shame.
Yeah, we've built a really solid database, a client base, and I've done that from day one. But it's also important to build that right, because you've got to know how to be able to target a certain segment. But I could have a whole conversation about that, let me tell you. Really passionate, but let's not go there.
Well, the CRM is a hot topic, Peter. We'll need to schedule that in, because it's a non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, there's so much I've learned, and that is for another call. And so that when you ask that question, you pose that question about relationships and nurturing, another situation came to mind, which was ended up being a much bigger picture and a real business changer for us. So we had again, I met this person at a networking event. I put them into my database. They get my regular newsletters. They reached out. They were a business coach. They were just launching themselves into that space. And so I have a set of questions, qualifying questions, and they qualified. So we did a presentation, and then she tells me she's not ready to move forward yet. Clearly I failed at qualifying, right? However, I'm diligent and I have a good follow-up process. Short story version is, over 10 months, I think it was 11 or 12 touches in that time, she then said to me, and so 2 lessons here, is thank you so much for following me up. I really appreciate your diligence. But trouble is, most of us are too shy to do that because we feel stalkerish, or we don't want to badger them, or
pushy sales. We feel as if we're pushy salespeople. Yeah.
And it wasn't, and I was not saying you're ready to go, you're ready to go. I just thought I'd share this information with you, thought it might add value. And again, it's that adding value. Let me know when you're ready to move. So I'm asking for the sale, but I'm not just doing salesy, you've got to be smart. Anyway, so 10 months later, she goes, thank you so much. I'm ready to launch. And by the way, and that was an $8,000 gig for us, so that was good. And by the way, I've been doing some part-time project management work for one of Perth's largest RTO providers, and they're having problems with their web agency. I'd like to do an introduction. Okay, let me think about that. Yes. So fast track, this is 11 years ago, fast track 11 years, that client has been worth, that new client she introduced me to, we landed them, $180,000.
Wow.
Wow. If I had not followed up, if I had not nurtured that relationship and the follow-up sequence, I wouldn't have landed the $8,000 or the $180,000. Like, massive learning. And that client's still a client today, one of my biggest fans, raving advocate for us and the work we do. So, yeah.
Like, well done, Peter. That's brilliant. Again, there's loads of messages out there. There's loads of messages that we can pull out. One for me is you just never know where that next opportunity is coming from.
Yes, yeah.
And what often happens is business as well, and I've had many conversations about this as well, is you do the activity over here, like you do the follow-up over here.
Yep.
And as long as you're doing the activity with a focus, the opportunity of the business comes from over here.
Yeah.
You know, so you never know who that one person is, and you never know who they know.
Yeah,
You know?
that's right. Yeah, and that was the point I was about to say. You never know who they know, you know, so that's the sort of big takeaway.
And be careful that you're treating people with respect. You never know who they know, you know.
Yeah.
Don't ever assume someone's price bracket.
Yep. Yeah.
Because you just don't know. But more there, it's the opportunities. If you just do the, you know, be a good human.
Yes.
Look after people.
Yep.
Help people where it's needed. You never know what comes back.
That's right, and that's flowed on. That large caliber client has now just engaged us only a couple of months ago on a much higher retainer than they've ever paid us, because
Wow.
of a new aspect to the business. The new aspect is them exiting the business, actually, so it becomes managed, and they need our help. So that again has turned into a new cash cow, and it's also given me the opportunity to refer other specialists that I know that I don't operate in to that client, you know, because I know lots of people. So it's a win-win-win.
And then what happens as well on the back of that, I'm hearing you saying it's how they exit the business. The people who exit the business then go on to create new businesses.
Yeah.
And who do they come to, and who are they referring to? You know, that it's just a beautiful thing, the way it all comes together. But
and it's funny you should say that, because I've already had a conversation with that client about because, you know, driven people like that, entrepreneurs like that, they don't stop, they don't retire.
That's right.
They move on to other projects, and that can, you know, that's a whole other network and guide.
And all their friends have got the same kind of projects as well, you know. So look, Peter, thank you very much for sharing. You've shared two simple stories, but the learning and the layers under there around building rapport, looking after people, touch points, having a database, having a follow-up system, sticking to it, never being too busy to nurture a relationship, always being sharing, adding value to a conversation at every interaction. And that's what it comes down to. How do I add value in this moment?
Yes.
You know, and it comes back to you tenfold. Peter, you're a legend, because you've got a good reputation. You've got a brilliant reputation out there for going the extra mile and helping people to get those smarter websites, to get the better solutions and the outcomes that they've had. And that comes from you, your relationship making capabilities, and your desire to help. So thank you very much. I really, really appreciate you sharing your time with us today.
No worries. Thank you, Lorraine. Good to be
Thank you. Bye, buddy.
You've been listening to District 32, Immersion, inspiration for ambitious business owners with big dreams.